This regular session of the Red Oak City Council to order this Monday, March 17th at 5:30 at the Red Oak Fire Station, located at 1904 North Broadway here in Red Oak. Just a regular session of the Red Oak City Council to order this Monday, March 17th at 5:30 at the Red Oak Fire Station, located at 1904 North Broadway here in Red Oak. Just a regular session of the Red Oak City Council to order this Monday, March 17th at 5:30 at the Red Oak Fire Station, located at 1904 North Broadway here in Red Oak. Just a regular session of the Red Oak City Council to order this Monday, March 17th.
So it's echoing, it's like the real deal. And then the delay.
Okay, do I need to start again or can we just proceed?
They can hear you.
Okay, all right, let's call to order number 2, invocation by Pastor Ricky Rurig of the Crossroads Community Church. Is he online?
Should be. You have the feedback too again? Shouldn't be. It should be coming through there. I don't know why it's coming from the TV. It's supposed to be coming through the owl.
Yeah.
That's the
See if that.
I saw it up there.
Now it's clear that Pastor Ricky was coming down.
Yep. Yeah, he's down just.
There we go. Right there.
Pastor Ricky, if you can hear us.
Yes, can you hear me?
Go, perfect. Can everyone please stand? Thank you for joining us.
Yes. All right, let us pray. Father God, Lord, we thank you on the 17th day of March 2025, as we know St. Patrick's Day, and we know that spring is right around the corner as we think everything green today. Lord, we're thankful for a safe spring break in the Red Oak Community School District, Lord. And as the temperatures get warmer, we're thinking about all the people that will be out and about. Please keep them safe on the highways and byways. Lord, just be with us in this meeting tonight, Lord, as there is business to be attended. And we know that all the time, everybody may not agree on everything, and there might be some disagreements, but let everything be decent and in order. Be with the mayor and be with the city council, all those that are present today. And Lord, finally, as we close today with the famous Irish blessing, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. Until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Amen.
Someone do this in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Susie? Bradley?
Here.
Bills?
Ryan, can you hear us?
It's all better now.
No, can't.
It's need to be asked to be unmuted again.
I think he needs to be unmuted again. Click on the plus item. There you go, right there.
Ryan, can you hear us now?
Yep, I'm good now. Thank you.
There we go.
Sorry.
All right, good job.
Right off?
Here.
Isaac?
Here.
Pete Brink?
Here.
Would take number 5, approval of the agenda.
A motion to approve.
Bradley,
Second.
right off. Roll call.
Bills?
Yes.
Right off?
Yes.
Isaac?
Yes.
Pete Brink?
Yes.
Bradley? Yes.
Number 6, proclamations and special notices. I've got some that we need to start doing here shortly. Number 7 is public comment. Just a reminder that you have 3 minutes. You must sign in at the front and state your name and address at the podium. Do we have any? And then just again, a reminder, this is a public business meeting of the city council. We just appreciate everybody maintaining order. Do we have any online too? Is this it?
Yeah. No.
Nope, okay, Lynette. Bruce.
Net roots, sanitation. I have a couple things. One thing I kind of need to know is, I was wondering what the special meeting was for on the 31st. Can you tell me that?
Budget.
Coming up. It's budget, it's nothing I need to.
Budget,
Okay, all right, okay. I just had a commitment, I just didn't know. Okay. I want to address the intent of the code 106.01. The city reserves the right to enter into a contract or issue a permit at any time, any license holder or others for the collection of disposal of garbage and refuse within the city, or may itself operate and maintain such a service. I just have questions about that. I don't know.
When we get to that agenda item, I think all of you received the email from Kevin, which had the same question, and I spoke to our attorney, and I can answer that when we get to the agenda.
Oh, okay, okay. And then 106.02 pertains to curbside, which we do alleys. We're available. So that was,
I mean, go ahead, yep.
that was just a question, and you know what the intent.
What number did you say though?
106.02.
I think we acknowledge that.
All of that's pretty much. Oh, we did.
Just keep going.
That was it. That's all I
Okay.
have.
All right,
So you discussed that.
I discussed it with Bree, and then we can go through it when we get to that regular.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
It should answer your question.
all right, any other public comments? All right, number 8 is the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes from the city council meeting on March 3rd, 2025 and March 10th, 2025. And then the liquor licenses for, it's a new liquor license for Sam's Food and also a renewal for Family Dollar, 33277, and then also a tobacco license for, which is a new one for Sam's Food. And that is the former pawn shop, gun shop.
The gentleman who owns that has convenience stores in other communities. He came in, checked on the zoning, had put in an offer, or was interested in 2 different properties that were both zoned properly. You know, asked a lot of good questions, and then ended up closing on this property and has gone through the normal state process for applying for those licenses. So I think it's just a small convenience store, kind of the basics.
So he's been approved for food also.
I don't
No.
think he has to be approved for food because that's prepping.
Tobacco and alcohol.
He's selling food, but packaged food,
Package food, okay.
not like making soup or anything, just be.
Like a little mini market
Bread.
downtown.
Yeah, almost like what they'd sell at a gas station, I would
Right.
say, that kind of stuff, minus the prepped food. If he did though, if he changed that, that would go through the county health department.
So you say he has other stores in Omaha and.
Cedar
I know that
Rapids
his
and-
address is listed as Omaha, and I think that he comes from Cedar Rapids, and there's a number of other areas in the state that he has. I don't know how many, but
I'm not real sure what the class E is.
liquor, beer, and wine,
So he can sell hard liquor then.
under the license to the state, yes.
Downtown.
Correct.
Approve.
Okay, right off,
Second.
Isaac. Did we have any further discussion on this? Okay, roll call.
Brightoff,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Bradley. Yes. Bills,
Yes.
Number 9 is the March 17, 2025 city claims, the warrants and the water deposit refunds to be approved.
So I'll move to approve, but I have a question when we get a second.
Bills, do I have a second?
I'll second.
and Bradley. And then further discussion, what would be your question, Brian?
Yeah, it's, I'm trying to find it here again. It's about halfway down on the first page of warrants. And it's for utility bills for Matt Parrott and Sons for $22.60. And maybe I've seen that before, but I can't remember what that's all about. If I have seen that before.
What page are you on in the packet?
23?
Page 22.
And where did you say it?
It's
Oh.
about 2/3 the way down the page. Matt Parrott and Sons.
That means they print the utility bills. They're the printer of the postcards.
Okay.
You get like
Very
a
good.
sheet on 11.
I just don't remember ever seeing that before, but okay, very good. Thank you.
Is that a new company?
I don't think so. Most cities I've been in use Matt Parrott.
Okay.
They print like all different forms. So you get like an 11x17 form that has 4 or 6 postcards on it, right?
On the utility bills?
Yeah, like on a sheet.
There's.
Yeah, I get it now. I saw that and I just couldn't make heads or tails of it. That's all. Thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so I got a first by Bill, second by Bradley, roll call.
Hudson,
Yes.
Hebrink. Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
and Brightoff.
Yes.
Number 10, this would be the second reading of the ordinance 2025-02 for the solid waste chapter. This includes the citywide cleanup fee of $4. The number of days to accumulate trash is 14 days from 30. And then the garbage collector permit fee process. We also have 10.1 on here, which is RFP for area haulers for curbside services, just in case you guys wanted to have that on there again.
Move to approve.
Have any- Okay,
Were you gonna explain those things, Lisa?
You probably just get us
Okay.
a second and then we can explain it.
I'll second.
okay, Bradley. Now further discussion.
So the question about the comment is about the city being able to do that. Obviously, if it gets approved the way it is, it talks about licensing any haulers. So it's basically Bree's way of saying that we're being transparent, that nothing in this ordinance, that when you get a permit gives you some exclusive forever future right, that we don't have a right to change our mind. So you could always change the code regardless. But it's basically saying that nothing in a permit would give anybody an exclusive forever future right. Obviously, if 5 people are permitted and somebody in the future went back to like a curbside idea with an exclusive hauler, the whole ordinance has to change because right now the code says anybody can get a license. And so there's no way to either, or we license everybody and then say, not that this would happen, but it's always an option that the city could say, we're just gonna get into the business ourselves. We're gonna hire 2 employees and buy a truck. Like nothing about getting a permit from us prevents the city from doing something different in the future. And that clause is just a transparency that we have the right to do that. Can you please click on admit? And so that's all that is. And anything that would change in the future about the things that we've talked about and not brought to fruition would have to be changed in the code. So it's really nothing that other than just saying we're being clear.
Did you want to address 106.02 with regards to the,
Can you talk louder?
would you like to clarify 106.02 and 106.9?
So the 09,
I think that is just a statement that is there since these will be approved for 5 years or so. Isn't that just kind of blanket?
authorized to enter private property, or are you talking about the
Not,
sub?
oh, not, oh, yeah, just 106.9. It's the paragraph that,
106.03 sub 9?
well,
09 is entering property.
okay, just a second. I'm sorry.
106.03 collection service.
The business office was the one that, Kevin, or you are, brought up. So as long as you're like monitoring your phones, I mean, any of us could have a business that's open and someone could get your voicemail. So I mean, the issue would be like, hey, I've called Kevin and he didn't call back for 2 weeks. You know, like obviously, anybody could be busy, step out, be on too many lines that you get a voicemail. So just because you have somebody that goes to voicemail, that's fine.
It was the one that says that the city reserves the right to enter into a contract with anyone.
That's what I just addressed.
Okay, sorry, I was.
That's
trying to
saying
look.
that,
And then the other one was 106.02.
Point of two, which is the alleys,
right?
because we
And
currently have to pick some up, I think, in the alleys.
I don't think it prevents alleys though, does it?
Thought I kinda worded
At the
it.
end of a driveway or curb. Yeah, I guess we can add in there or alley.
And the preference would be the street, right?
Right,
there's
but
a-
we're not
there's-
regulating that right now. They're
Yeah.
allowed to go where they want,
Yeah.
so. We can just add to 102. 106.02 sub 3, we can say. Or alley, where it also says end of driveway or curb.
Okay.
I know Kevin brought up the part about that 106.02 sub 3, A, B, and C is talking about as if you had. Like the carts, but there are some haulers that have the carts with the lids. You know, I've seen, like, I think Southwest Sanitation has some black ones in the alley that I live on, so they have them. You know, so if it's not that kind of a cart with a lid, then it's irrelevant. If you're just putting your bags out, it's just saying that the containers must be at the curb with the lid. So if there is that kind of a one, then that's not relevant if they don't make their customers use that. I think it's still relevant to have it be that they should be 3 feet away, because even if it's just a regular can and people are blocking it, it's not hurting. And it still acknowledges that bags can be at the curb, so we're not prohibiting people from putting bags out there that say they
So
have to.
can anybody put their, if they have an alley, do they have a choice?
I'm assuming it's just right now between the haulers and you tell them where to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if it's an alley that you do, then somebody puts it at the front, you're not gonna see it.
Right. Unless they make it, but I mean, unless they
So
let
it's a
us know,
special
but that's
request,
normally
it's a
what.
special request from the
We
customer?
probably would, but what we do is if they have an alley, we tell them to put it on the alley.
Oh, do you mean, okay.
Yeah, that's the procedure we do. I mean, there are, of course, we do special things for people.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah,
And then the fee, recognizing there's lots of fees that are different amongst different communities. I look at it like, I don't know what I don't think most communities put the names out there to make sure that people know who's licensed. So all of the haulers will have their name and contact information, whatever they put on their permit will be on the website as approved haulers. So there's a level of marketing. We'll have a handout for anybody that comes to sign up for new service that hasn't been in the community that would also be given that. If we're making sure that they have the insurance, there's all the things that we go through that process. And so
So the permit fees will be all the same for all the haulers, or are they different?
that,
have to be
Depending on
the
how many
same.
they have.
no, it's just a flat $750 for everybody.
Okay, and what is it now? There's nothing.
We don't-
now.
Yeah,
we don't have
limit them at all. You just do whatever you want. And then I think there was a question about, is it residential and commercial? It's anybody providing any sort of garbage service. So if for some reason, I don't think any of our haulers do exclusively commercial or residential only, but if you're in our town doing garbage, we want to know that you're here and you have to be licensed going forward. So we'd contact them all.
And how do we come up with that 750?
I just know I've worked in places where it's been 500, 1,000. You know, clearly Kevin gave some information that it's super cheap around us, but it's also, there's a cost that, you know, right now we have a lot of fees that are cheap and we don't cover the cost of even our time. And there's, you know, if you look at liquor licenses, they pay thousands of dollars. If you do a restaurant and you have to do a food inspection, it's hundreds of dollars. It may not be common, but there's a benefit to being licensed in our community and us promoting your business.
Well, it's a wear and tear on the streets and
That's,
you know, that's a big,
Yeah, and not that the 750 is covering any of that, but it's,
right.
you know, we can assume we're gonna have 4 or 5 haulers, so we're talking $3,000. We're not.
Okay.
It was 700, sorry.
It is 750.
then
Oh, maybe, I I thought it said 750.
I think it is.
If it's 700, it's whatever, it's in here. I thought we said 750.
I was thinking it was 7. I'm just looking. Well, I think we're gonna do a little bit more managing of, I was just looking at the brush, the trees, brush and leaves. And out in that area, we're gonna do a lot better managing that area as well.
Yeah, it's 700, I apologize.
That's what I thought.
So if this passes at the next meeting, then obviously there'll be some amount of time where we'll contact all the haulers, get the application ready. So there might be a month or so or before we implement that.
Any other discussion?
Citywide cleanup fee, $4. Is everybody still pretty good with that?
I think that's reasonable. I mean, you're talking, $48 a year.
And we'll be able to, again, we kind of committed to in a year, we'll look at it and if, I don't think it's gonna be that we collected 115,000 and we spent 20.
So I got 2 questions. Can we, again, we can say it's gonna be a sunset clause, right? That we come back.
It's not in the code because once a code is a code, it's not gonna just fall off, but we'll put it on the calendar. And in a year, we'll review it. The council can bring it up anytime and you can't commit to a future council because there's an election coming. So by the time a year hits, it could be a new council.
Right. Question 2 on that. So let's say there's extra money. Let's say we didn't go over. Now, can we use that extra money for other projects within the city?
Not unless it's garbage related.
Why does it have to be just garbage? Why couldn't it be
Because
towards
Well, what would be your other example?
water treatment plant?
Because you would be like falsely collecting it under a false premise. So if you see in here, it lists things like the brush pile, like other things that we provide that are like solid waste disposal. So you could say like, we've got an enormous amount of tree brush and we're gonna do something different. Like we have to have somebody haul it away instead of burning it or something. You could do that. But if you're collecting it under the premise of this is for solid waste, and then you just flip it over to wastewater, I think that the public could come back and argue that you collected it under false pretense and that would be improper.
What if we called it for Red Oak Betterment?
I guess we'd have to check with Bree.
I think that the hope is that we can provide it at least twice a year and possibly 3 times. So that would really, I think, take most of it because of the prices that they are charging for the transfer in the landfill.
One thing I want to keep in mind is not everybody's gonna use the service.
Well, I think it's a trial, we're giving it a year to see how we can clean up the city and it's, we're guessing at this point.
Yeah, then I would rather see we just do it one time, make sure our numbers are right, that we're not in the hole, that we're causing more money to be
The
collected.
code only requires once
Yeah,
because we have no idea. Like if for some reason even though no one
Right.
thinks we have a lot of trash, if we do, and it's $75,000, then we maybe can't afford a second one.
right.
And then we'd hold off, but
So yeah, we could look into maybe that wording and maybe be able to use that money for something else, but I don't know how to get around it.
we're gonna be able to, I would say you'd switch it in the future. It isn't, like I said, it's not gonna be 20,000 and we collected 6 times too much. It's just, there could be a little
Right.
bit and it could be for something
I don't
else.
see it being astronomical.
But if you think about what this also says it can cover, which is expenditures directly related to the costs of the handling of grass clippings and the grinding of trees, wood chips, all of that stuff that's been free essentially for how long now? And I mean, I probably couldn't give you a number, but I'm guessing there's been quite costly in man hours to manage all of that over the decades it's been available.
But again, in a year, if we feel like we've solved the problem, that we had a couple cleanups and all is well with the world, and it can be discontinued, it can be decreased, it could be. I just know like in Shenandoah, they seem like they have a lot of these kinds of fees and every one of them's called out. There's like the animal and the landfill and the curbside and I don't know what somebody else said, but trees, I think they have
They have
a
one for trees.
tree maintenance or something. So when you look at that, it's kind of the same, that every line item is clearly spelled out for what it's intended for.
Mhm.
So.
Okay, great clarification.
Does the
Questions?
motion need to be amended since we added the wording to include alleys?
I would think so.
Just you can amend the motion to include the word
So
alleys.
Brian Bills would have to amend his motion. to
I will
include the-
do that. I will amend my motion to include alleyways as well.
At 106.02,
106.02.
okay?
Yep.
All right. But everything else the same? Okay, so we got a first by Bill, second by Bradley with the amended roll call.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
Brightoff,
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
Number 11 is resolution 2025-24. This is partial funding for the fire department brush truck purchased by the Red Oak Fire Volunteer Fire Department or Fire Association. As Lisa spelled out in her memo, they have put in a purchase for a truck of $195,448. However, they're about 40,000 short. And that would be covered if we would allocate the 25,000 from the old brush truck and 15,000 from the old ambulance. That would make up the 40,000. And so I think what they're requesting is us to fill the $40,000 gap.
So, Chief and Brian are here. I believe you come up. You went and got the truck today, correct?
Showed up a little bit ago. Yep.
So I don't know if anybody has any questions. The one thing that I said kind of going forward, I'd like the council to talk about it before they make the purchase in the future, but obviously I wasn't here and we committed, but if we knew that they were working on a fundraiser and buying a bigger piece of equipment in the future, we'll talk about it upfront and kind of make sure we're on the same page. But if you recall, when we listed the two, we had hoped to get 20 per vehicle. In the end, we got the 40 total, just split a little bit differently. We had talked about that you would reevaluate and make sure once we knew the dollars, what you were committing. So assuming that you approve this resolution, we would cut this check for them tomorrow with the regular payments of checks. Because they wrote the check today and they wrote it exclusively to the manufacturer. And so we would be writing the check to the association.
Okay, so when we sold the ambulance and the old brush truck, what did we do with that 40 grand? What happened to
It's
that
in-
money?
It's just in the city budget, in our revenue.
General fund?
Yes,
So this funding would come out of that then as well.
yeah, if it's in 001 in the general fund, then the check would get cut from 001 in the fire department.
Okay.
So can you tell me a little bit about volunteer funds?
As far as,
How you got.
How you get
so the association is a standalone association that was created many, many moons ago. With basically the sole purpose to support the operations of the fire department. It's been kind of a standing practice that the city bought like the fire engine and the ambulances. And then the volunteers would buy the grass trucks. And that was a combination between rural board and the volunteer association many, many moons ago. Now we're going just a signed contract for rural fire coverage and they give some assistance, and then the volunteer association, of course, does fund drives and whatnot, which is the same thing they did for this truck. So that way it's, equipment is purchased through the volunteers that we just simply wouldn't have the funds through the city side to do. So,
So do you have mainly just fund drives or are there endowments or?
we receive donations and so forth from time to time, and that all goes towards the budget of the association, and they procure those funds. And
Okay.
like this one, the truck was the project. We like to try to just put our thumb on a project and say, here's what you're donating to, and here's what we're working towards. So,
And you've been raising funds for a couple of years on this.
yeah, the truck project alone was 2 years.
Yeah, so we started this project, or we awarded the contract in April of 2023. During that time, we raised just over $170,000 strictly on donations, memorials, estates. as well as grant funding.
That's great.
Obviously, we were a little short, but like Lisa said, when we started this project, it was 2-3 years ago, 2 to 3 city administrators ago. Obviously, the rules have changed. The big push when we were here 6 months ago was strictly for the funds or from the grass truck, because we originally purchased that back 20-25 years ago. Obviously, the city keeps up the insurance, the maintenance, but we've always purchased those vehicles. So just this project alone. Go ahead.
Now, Chief, I was just gonna ask you if you can just clarify what the importance is of, and the difference between a brush truck and a regular fire truck.
A brush truck would be your wildland, your field fires, grass fires, things like that. A regular fire truck, fire engine, however you look at it, would be your big city truck. One that would connect to a hydrant per se.
So this is a smaller self-contained vehicle then, is that correct?
Correct.
Not
Yes.
a ladder truck.
You could get into smaller spaces.
Yeah.
But more looks like a pickup truck.
So just to give you guys an idea of those that have contributed, obviously tonight, if you guys approve it, the city of Red Oak, the Red Oak Rural Fire Protection District, Jeff Fort Family and Red Oak Fabrications, the Esther L. McHenry Estate, the Montgomery County Community Foundation, the EF and Sylvia Shellberg Foundation, and that was 2 years in a row, Burlington Northern Santa Fe Foundation, the New Cooperative Foundation, Land of Lakes Foundation, the Red Oak Elks Club, Nature's Alpine, Clarios, and Farm Credit, as well as hundreds of other donations through our annual fund drive.
Great.
Any other questions?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, gentlemen. Should I take a motion to approve
So moved.
right off? A second,
I'll second. Go ahead.
okay, Heat Brink. Right off and Heat Brink roll call.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Hebring.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just so you guys know, the truck is here. Feel free to look at it tonight. Or stop by anytime.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Brian. All right, number 12, resolution 2025-25. This is for on-street handicap parking locations. Our chapter, ordinance chapter 6907 requires the city council approval on any on-street handicap parking stalls. I know that the street department, and I believe the police chief went out and looked at other locations which are identified on page 44 of your packet. In Exhibit A as part of the resolution. And the Red Oak Elks Club Lodge number 1304 requested a parking spot right on the corner of Reed and First Avenue up to their sidewalk on the south side of the street there, so.
So I
So-
couldn't find a.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go
That's,
ahead.
that's the only addition to what we already had then.
Well, I wasn't gonna spend time going through decades of resolutions to find which ones properly got approved. So to me, it just made more sense. Chris sent his crew out in the street department. They made a list of every one, and then our intent would be anytime we're adding one, we just add it to the same list so that you're always looking at the most current and you have everything on there. So I believe, I know that they all exist. I can't tell you whether we're all approved or not, Brian.
Yep, very good.
15. Okay,
Brad's
So-
gonna have to find another place to park.
who is?
Brad Baker.
Brad? Oh. I
Is that where you park?
don't
Yeah.
think that's.
We don't want you to need that sticker.
And this was approved also by Chief Ramey, who also has to approve these things. So. Take a motion,
I would make a motion to approve the resolution.
right off,
I'll second.
Bradley. Any other further discussion? Roll call.
Bills,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Hebring,
Yes.
Bradley.
Yes.
Number 13, resolution 2025-26. This is approval of a depository institutions. Lisa did a nice job spelling out in her memo what this is about. This is so that we have we just want to go ahead and talk about it.
We need guidance from the council. Every city usually has a depository resolution on file that's telling myself or the city clerk where you can deposit money. Obviously, there's strict rules for where cities can invest their funds, and I needed to provide one to the auditors. And again, I went back to 2016, I think. I couldn't find one. I asked the state auditors for any documentation that they had on file, and they sent me all their documents that they had, some of which I needed, and none of them were this. So I just decided to make one. So this is obviously our 3 banks that are in town, and then I pay where we keep the other money. So right now we have about $11 million. And I then set the First Interstate, which has about 6 million right now, and then the CDs, we sort of randomly put wherever people are. So we have 4 million total between Bank Iowa and Houghton Bank. So these numbers seemed appropriate, and then we only have like $60,000 that I pay right now, so. The other
So
thing that it requires, go ahead.
Well, being these are limits, does it seem like iPay might be a little low?
We just don't put a lot of money in there because it's not as flexible.
I understand they have really good returns, and, you know, at some point in time we may. So I guess my whole point of even mentioning is, you know, if we set the limit low, then we're limited. If we raise it, then we can do whatever we want.
You can put it at the 3 million if the council wants, that matches the other 2 non-main bank ones, that's fine.
Well, or $1 million.
Yeah, totally up to the council.
I mean, I'm not saying that's what we should do. I'm just throwing that out there.
So what's your suggestion?
I would suggest we raise it to $1 million.
And then the last thing is for collateral requirements, the FDIC only protects any individual investment in the amount of 250 if the bank were to close up. And so anytime that we have investments in a financial institution that's over that amount, we ask for collateral. So they basically pledge a security that they have against anything that's over the 250. We do, like I had to get that for the auditors, and so they provided me that.
So that's something we haven't had before.
We haven't had this, but I'm assuming you had the collateral. I didn't ask for that. That's pretty common.
So why do we have 10 in First Interstate and 3 in the?
That is our-
Because the one that we have, our checking and sweep account, is First Interstate, and then Houghton and Bank Iowa are just CD investments.
So how's that working out for us that they're not local anymore?
I would define local as real estate in our town.
Well, I mean, you know, you can't walk in the door and do business with them at this point.
Where? Where?
Yeah, you can.
First Interstate?
Sure you
Oh,
can.
you know what?
First
I'm so sorry. I'm thinking of the one that closed. I'm sorry.
Oh, you were
US
thinking US Bank.
US Bank is
Yeah, I'm
the
thinking
one
of US Bank. I'm so sorry. Yep, my bad.
No problem.
I'd recommend we keep them in our local banks. The balance of our,
And do you want to,
larger balance of our account.
Do you want to increase the IPay to $1
So I
million?
would motion to approve the resolution, to approve the depository institutions 2025-26.
do you want to up the IPay to $1 million, Brian?
No, leave it the same. I would.
You'd like to leave it the
recommend
same.
Oh, I see. You're saying you want to have more money in the
In
local
the
banks.
local bank.
So Sharon would like to approve it based on how it is, okay?
Well, Sharon, here's something that you should be aware of with iPay. iPay pays a very good return on the money, and they use it for other sources of in-state fundings. So it's not like it's a financial institution that's making money off of our investment.
It's a government place.
It's a government.
It's like cities coming together to invest. their money.
The only thing that Lisa mentioned is it's just not as flexible as our other accounts, but it's still a very good institution to invest our funds in.
So your recommendation is?
My
still
recommendation
to leave it.
stays the same.
Stays the same. So I've got a first stays the same. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Right all. Do we want to have any further discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of going $1 million, why can't we go 500,000? And I pay.
Whatever the council wants. It's fine. We only have 60,000 in there right now. So I would
If
say
it has a higher return, I mean,
it doesn't have a higher return than the CDs right now.
well, it doesn't.
It could in the future, though, Adam. It could in the future. And
Yeah,
and once again, when we put the money in there, we're investing back in the state of Iowa.
But to Sharon's point, I tend to agree with that. The more we can keep here within real estate in our town
Right.
is.
I mean, and
also-
again, the administrator is gonna come back and say, hey,
Yeah,
all those CDs are at 2% and I paid still at 4 and I have 250 in there and I think we should make more money by putting it in there, then we can always change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, yeah, and you guys are saying local real estate, local banks, but I mean, none of those are headquartered in Red Oak, Iowa. Well, Houghton Bank is, I guess, if you want to do all the business there.
no, they're not
Really?
headquartered
No,
here.
they're in the
They're owned by
mountains.
First National Bank of Omaha.
Oh, I see, I see.
They just
But
all
it's
have
just a
real
point,
estate.
keeping them here, at least within.
Yeah.
RC limits, that does benefit. Local.
I'm
people.
not sure. I'm not sure how that works, Tim.
okay. All right, so we've got a first and a second. We've discussed a different amount. I will-
Yeah, the motion right now is to leave it at
Yep.
two
Leave it at
fifty, so you have to
250, so-
vote on the 250, and then if it fails, somebody can do
Then
it.
we can go back. Okay, so let's take a roll call on these. Keep it as it is. Crafted. Susie. Roll call.
Brightoff,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills.
Yes,
All right, number 14, resolution 2025-27. This is a purchase of a cemetery dump truck. Another opportunity to help Brad to actually be able to do his job better. This is something that's been on the works for a while. Obviously, we've had a 1978 Chevy.
Brad, you wanna come up? Sure.
Basically, he's proposing, there's two different trucks here, for us to decide between. One would be a new one and one would be an old one with some mileage on it. It would be 2017, I guess.
So do you wanna explain a little bit
Yeah.
about the existing trucks that we're proposing would be declared surplus once we get a new one if approved, and then the difference between the two?
Okay, so the 1978 is, it speaks for itself. It is hard to get parts when we do have an issue. We either gotta figure it out ourselves or hope that we can get something sent to us from China, which now that's all balled up. So that's an issue on that truck, so we have to really baby it. And it becomes more of a storage unit rather than an operational dump truck. The 94 is just tired. It's wore out. It was probably wore out when the city got it, to be honest. And we don't put a ton of miles on it, but it's multi-purpose. Today we haul trees and dug graves, and so it's dirt and it's tree work and it's up and down the hills and transmission shot. The dump body is shot on it, so it has kind of came to some of the other departments' attention when they had to come up and cover that safety is. It just was a different piece of equipment when other people were up there, so we learned to live with it, but it is past time, so.
The one that we have more concerns with safety is the 94.
Correct.
And you wanna explain like today? you're
So
basically stuck.
today, we had just a very slight elevation, wouldn't pull itself out. Last Friday, we had service, wouldn't dump. So we're having to bring another piece of equipment in to offload. I mean, the more cogs you get in that system, the more chance there is for everything to fall apart. I'm blessed with my staff that is sharp and on that game, but like I say, when we're calling on other departments to come in and fill in, it's a whole different game, and it's an adventure. Every day's an adventure.
So
then-
basically, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You're basically looking to replace both of these.
Eventually, so
With
the master plan
Mhm.
that hopefully will come to fruition is I moved everything from the center to a dirt pile out on the far northeast corner. Would love to get a shed built there. I've been accumulating cast off, and we're gonna take some of the street department metal off the storm damage and hopefully get that finished. If I could get a dirt shed built, I wouldn't have to have the storage truck. You have to have so much dry dirt. You can't fill that much volume of dirt with mud. It doesn't work.
How
So
big a shed does that take?
how big are we gonna do?
How big would it take out for a dirt shed?
It's whatever we can put together. I'm kind of hoping something like 20 by 16, open one side. you know, so you could back in and dump, but yet come in and get with a backup. So that's the goal. It's not gonna be any closed building or anything, but it's kind of like a local barn.
Or like how we have salt sheds in public works crew.
Yep, and we won't have any door or anything to keep moisture out. It's just, you know, a little bit of protection that is not sitting directly out.
Will be on cement.
No,
Cement.
no, we're just, you know, I've taken, when we had a bunch of down trees, I've taken trees and I built kind of a retaining so we can push against. That's what everybody wondered what the Fuji sticks up there in the corner were. So that's what the starboard was. And I've tiled around it. I got that much done.
So,
Go ahead.
So Brad, I'm looking at your memorandum here and I see that you've located a 2017 with 37,000 miles. And then you've also located a brand new 2025. I just want to put my 2 cents worth in there. And I know that this 17, we would be the third owner. And, you know, 37,000 miles doesn't sound like a lot when you're driving up and down the road in your car. But for a truck that's working day in, day out, you know, short hauls inside communities, I think that perhaps could be a lot of miles. I would be more in favor of the new truck there and I am aware of your situation out there. I know what you've been working with for years and years, and I appreciate you putting up with that stuff. So I want to put my 2 cents worth in for the new vehicle.
Do you think to buy the new one is worth the extra 20,000 to
You
have
know,
the warranty?
Absolutely. We've got something that's never been abused or used. We've got a warranty that's good for at least 3 years. I think it's absolutely worth the 20 grand.
And we've tried to, between Chris and Lisa and myself, have tried to pare down. I mean, vehicles are hard to get. Plain and simple, you know, it's a production thing, just like the fire department was talking. You know, we've seen truck prices and the 25 Chris was able to find, so it kind of just popped up, but you know, an extra 20 plus in some of what we've looked at. So I mean, even 24s to 25s, it's a weird market. So we have tried to do some due diligence.
So Brad, 37,000 miles in your department, that would take a number of years, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it won't be in my lifetime.
So that being said, I think the new vehicle would be money well spent.
Okay.
I would agree. I think a newer vehicle with less repairs would be beneficial to purchase rather than the used 2017.
Yeah, it's
So,
8 years old.
I just want to put the last part of the selling equation together for you. So originally with the wastewater, water and street departments, the original plan was to make this mini hoe trailer and dump truck a ready to go out the door to whatever. It's not going to be just a cemetery only. While the cemetery's purchasing it, you're going to house it. That was the original intent, was to be shared with the guys in their departments. If you remember back and were part of that discussion.
Okay, and I know that the funds from this will come from, because we saved so much money from what we expected to spend on the townhouse project, on the infrastructure. This would come out of that general obligation, out of the bond money that's there, that's in the general fund right now. And a dump trailer would not be a part of this, so. Yeah,
Just a dump truck only.
all right, so Brian, are you making a motion
I
to
am.
approve the resolution with the new 2025 Ford F-550? Is it 550 or 150?
550.
550 for $74,592.
So moved.
And to declare the 2 surplus, like Brad needs
Oh,
to
yeah.
keep the 78 until we make the dirt shed, correct?
Yep.
We can get rid of the 94, and I think Chris has some plans to, like, we're not gonna do a Facebook marketplace sale since they're both get them out of here. So there's an auctioneer that'll come and take a bunch of stuff, and so the motion just says dispose of those 2 in the best means possible, so.
Okay. Did you get that?
Yep. My motion stands.
All right. So we got a motion for the new truck with the disposal as necessary of the, or as relevant for the 94 and 78 truck. We have a second. Okay, so I've got Bills and Heidzik. Do I have any further discussion on any of this?
I got a question.
Mhm.
Where the used truck, where's it coming from? Or where'd you guys find it at?
They're out of Maryland.
Out of Maryland?
The other one was out of.
Well, who we buying it from, the dealer
Okay.
that we're getting it from is it Schreiber?
Schreiber Ford.
Driver?
That's where it's
It's in the
from, but the
package.
owners.
They bought them on auction.
Oh, they buy it, so, yeah, oh,
They're auction trucks.
Yeah,
It
okay.
shows two
Yeah,
owners
okay.
in Maryland and Ohio.
Yep,
Yep.
that's, I'm done.
You're done?
I
All right.
I had to ask,
okay.
I had to ask.
So we got a first and a second, roll call.
Isaac,
Yes.
Pete Brink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes,
Bills,
Yes.
and Frida.
Yes.
All right, number 15, resolution 2025-28. This is credit card fees assigned to customers. I know this will make Susie happy.
So we talked about this at the budget, but we are kind of key for bringing this up tonight is that we are gonna go live in early April with people paying in the new system. So if we're having Civic set it up, we might as well set it up the way we intend to and not do one way and have everybody switch and then
Mhm.
figure it out another way. So for me, it was important that, many communities, many businesses, as we brought up in the budget meetings, charge fees if you want to use a credit card as a cost of doing business. So what we've been doing is essentially taking less revenue for water and sewer that people use because so many people pay with a credit card. The total that we spend right now in our two budgets for water and sewer is $40,000 a year that we're paying on behalf of the customers who are choosing to pay by credit card. So my proposal, based on kind of the conversation that we had, would be to transfer those expenses to the customers, but wanted to make sure that we have an option that doesn't cost people if they truly can't afford that. So it's a three-phased approach to how you can do it. If you sign up through our ACH program, which means you take a one-page piece of paper, you give us your banking information, we put that into Civic, and then we would scoop the money out of your bank account on the 20th of the month. That is free at no charge. The middle line is if you don't want us to have your banking information and you want to use the new online portal through Civic, you can go on there and make a monthly payment. So you have to make every month you go on there, you say, this is my account number, you set up your account. It'll be a lot easier. Right now, we have an issue trying to get people registered in the system because you have to have your account number and you have to type the address identical to the way that Susie and Donna in the past have typed it. So if it says 108 space N with a dot for north or N with a space, like whatever it says, if they don't enter it identical, they can't get in there. So when you go on and use the portal through Civic, it'll be account number and your last name. So it'll be easier, hopefully. And then if you want to pay without us having your bank information and you want to put your bank information into the portal, but use your bank account, not a card, that is $1.10 per transaction. So that's kind of the middle fee. And then the higher option, which is what's costing us the $40,000, is there would be a service fee if you use a debit or credit card of 30 cents. That would be charged to the customer, and then 2.9% of your bill. So the higher your bill, the more your fee is, as opposed to if you do the ACH through the portal, whether you're paying a household $40 bill or a commercial account for $1,500, you're gonna pay $1.10. So to me, we're giving everybody the option, but the question for the council is, do you want to start in the spirit of us trying to figure out the cost of doing business? Should the other, and you also look at, I kind of tried to spell out for you all these different burdens, but if you're not a credit card user, you're paying as a customer in the water department and the sewer department for other people who do want to, because it comes out of the budget as opposed to you as an individual customer having to pay
so
that.
we don't have ACH available now.
Yes.
We do have ACH, the free version.
How many people are signed up using
So how
that?
many-
I
How
am,
many
but
customers would you say we have ACH?
only 500?
We have 500 people right now
Wow,
that pay through our bank. You think that's low or high?
I
low,
feel like that's low.
extremely low.
Right, and then when we counted last week, Susie and I had to go through all the credit card payments, and it was like 400 a month.
So how
Oh my
many
gosh.
checks you give them?
So am I to understand that there's a charge to do a debit card as well as a credit card?
Either way, the credit card and debit card companies charge us the fee, the same,
Yeah.
any plastic.
I see,
Doesn't matter
okay. Yep, but you can still bring in a check at no extra charge.
You can bring in a check, you can pay cash. There also is people that go to their bank and use their banking pay app, you know how you can like
Bill pay.
Yep,
go to
Yep.
the bank and then
Yep.
they send us the information, you can do that, which that's between you and your bank. If it's free, I'm guessing I think most banks say you can have them pay so many bills per month for you,
Yeah,
so.
so bottom line is electronic is still less expensive in the long run. Or
You have a
check.
free option, you have a flat fee option, and you have a pay the cost option.
Well, that's the way it's been at the courthouse for far back as I can remember. You either pay with cash or check, or you pay a convenience fee.
and there's actually some businesses that are going to that as well, Tim.
Most businesses charge a fee.
Yeah.
And
It's
would be-
another thing that we've been spending.
So the way
money
this is
on.
written would be that proposal, that as we go live, it'll say on there, attention, if you wanna do this, and we'll try to get stuff out on social media, you know. Talk about it on the radio, in the paper, things like that, to help people understand that if you choose to not want to pay those fees, that you do have options. To not cost you.
Since we're charging the customers additional, do we have to do any other kinds of reading, or is this the only resolution that we have to pass?
Yeah, no, you just pass the resolution.
Will a notice be sent out to everybody?
Not a direct mailer, probably, it would be for people to get on the portal.
Hmm.
And obviously when they come to the front counter.
That was my
Will be
thought, was
added
who would
their
need to be
regular bill and
informed.
Sent out.
Well, I mean, if we want
I mean,
everybody
the
to
fee line
not
item.
sending checks and.
No, because it's one
It's just like a little sticker on the counter at the
Yeah.
treasurer's
Yeah.
office, like,
Yep.
Yeah.
it's just there and you just
Yep.
see it, so I
Yeah.
don't see.
It would be clear on the portal, like, you know, we're either gonna have FaceTime with a person there. The other thing that will be a new feature, which again would implement the 30 cents and the 2.9%, but right now we don't take any phone payments because we had no way for when they answer the phone at the office, there's no way for us to enter the information. So now on the screen, they'll be logged into Civic. They'll just be able to take your credit card. I don't know if it's the kind where you need the zip code and the 3-digit security code, or if it's one or the other, but they'll be able to take phone payments as well, which is again, a convenience to people who maybe forgot or late, and instead of paying a late fee.
I know that Susie and Donna provide those options for people when they sign up
Mhm.
for service. I just wonder how many people are aware, maybe the things in their life have changed and now they could do it. I guess some way, however we can promote that free version's available through there. And
Should we
maybe
put a
just,
notice in the paper?
well, something, I
We
think.
will
So-
do as much as we can.
Yeah,
Maybe on the Facebook page.
that's
We'll
what I was
have
thinking,
these and
Facebook page.
new portal, like.
Once we have the new portal, because there's been people that are intrigued in the fact that we've not had an online portal to pay for building permits, and they'll be able to do that with this, and it's gonna be live in April rather than this fall.
That's right.
So this is
that'd
gonna
be
be
good.
great.
So Lisa, do we save money in billing and labor and whatever when people do have ACH? And if so, could we incentivize people, at least maybe like for a one-time thing, to sign up for it?
I mean, it's just
Guaranteed,
the fact that it's not gonna cost you
Well,
now.
yeah, that'll be your incentive. You
Yeah.
don't have to pay the service fee.
yeah,
I mean,
Plus, that'd
either,
be good for the city because we have more money coming in on one day. People
exactly,
don't have to pay late fees, and
exactly.
it's easier.
Okay,
I would make the motion to approve resolution 2025-28 credit card fees assigned to customers.
all right, Bradley,
I'll second.
right off. Roll call. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Yes.
right off,
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
All right, we have looked through this agenda. Number 16 is the fiscal year 2025 year-end discussion and fiscal year 2026 budget discussion with water and sewer, library, park, and pool. Who do you want to start with, Lisa?
I put it in the order, it's on the agenda for the
Okay.
packet, so I would say
So
Clint is
Clint
first.
with water and sewer. Thank you for joining us, Clint. Yeah, nice shirt.
We talked about
That is a
last
pretty sharp
time.
shirt. Look at that with that logo on there. That looks
It's got
nice. It
3 colors.
really does look nice.
Did shopping at the catalog.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into like multicolored polos for everything else I do, so, yeah, they fit for my stuff, so. Yeah, so what questions you guys have, or, this is my first time doing this done with council, so I've always done it with, city administrator, and then the administrator takes it to council, so.
So pages 61 and 62 are and 63 are water, and then sewer is 64 and 65. So right now, there's no rate increases in here. We're basically just assuming it's the
Status
same.
quo.
We will have Chip talking to us sometime soon about those, and then it would just be a budget amendment if that's the case in the future. But we don't really have a basis for upping those if we do up them, so we'll leave it as is for now.
How about the additional meters that we made?
Oh, yes. And you're working on replacing those last few meters that are
Yeah,
a second system,
Explain
so.
about the
we have
update.
another 12 to do tomorrow, and then getting those done, trying to get all of them in before April, so.
Excellent.
It's actually gone pretty well so far, so.
Good.
So yeah, hopefully we get rid of that one service, so we're not paying 2 services to read meters, we're just reading through one service, so.
Why would they not replace before?
There were 68-ish,
55.
55, and
Basically, there was
That's a
a
good question.
difficult, well, it was all a situation where there was some glitch to just going in and doing it, so. We need you to shut off your water to replace the meter, and nobody wanted to tell anybody to fix their shut off. It was the mobile home park, which obviously it's, a lot of times they need heat tape and different things to like keep it live, and if there's been some amount of time where there hasn't been stuff there. There were a couple commercial accounts that needed some plumbing work to be done, so it was all like little blips that there was a reason
Some was
why.
education.
Yeah.
Yeah, American Hydraulics is education, just to figure out how to go about putting their meter in. That meter was purchased 3 years ago, and it's been sitting underneath the other meter for 3 years. They didn't realize there's actually a bypass around the meter that was plumbed in originally. So we can actually bypass it for a very short period of time to allow them to put the meter in and put it on. So they don't have to shut production down. That was a big thing. There's a few of them that were just commercial that was not enough education, not enough talking back and forth, and they didn't want to shut production down. No one wanted to force them to shut down for an hour or so and getting a plumber involved to get it done, and just some dancing that should have happened that didn't. It just, we got out of sync, and they just kind of went to the wayside for a little bit, but I'm trying to get that done now, so.
I do believe we passed a resolution to increase water and sewer rates over.
They'll go up, yeah,
annually.
that includes the already approved, just
Okay.
kind of a cost
Got
of living increase,
Got
I
it.
should say that. I
Yes,
apologize.
yes.
That's
correct.
July 1, but if there's any for projects and things like that we've been talking about with.
Because it was like a 3-year.
It was a
Yeah, you
3-year,
did 3 years.
Yeah.
And
but this
still
does
the-
not include the rehab of the wastewater facility yet, because we're waiting on the rate study.
So that's not 100% done deal, whatever, anyway, so we can't look at that. There's still 120 in there for Oakwood. The water line up there, we're still having issues trying to get easement through there, so that money's rolled from last budget to this one, it's just still in there, same line item, so. We're not spending anything out of that, because we're trying to hold on to it so we can finally get that done, so. Yeah, so
You
it's
just
just another project, so.
You're just having a challenge with the property owners allowing
It's-
use of the
it's
right of way.
timing.
Yeah.
A lot of them are not home during normal working hours. I've stayed a couple days late trying to go up and just not being able to catch people, and just getting some communication on either side. So we just gotta speak with them all, and it's just been a challenge, I should say, right now. So I don't think it's anyone's fault. It's just a timing thing right now. So
They're basically getting a new main through there.
yeah, without replacing the street. So
Yeah.
Yeah, the cost is astronomical if we have to rip all the concrete up and go that route. And then we eventually come into the same scenario we have now. If a main break happens, now we're digging into brand new street again. So the smart way of going about it, as we replace these lines, get them in the right of way, so we don't have to tear good street up to replace a water main or a water main break, things like that. So it's a multi-year facet to get the lines where they should be and things like that. So we're just working. Oakwood just happens to be a really, really unique situation where there's
a lot of utility stuff on both sides of the road, so the normal utility easement that's there right now is so jam-packed with electrical and gas and all that and telephone poles, you can't bore a line where it's at. We need a little extra easement on either side to get it done. Otherwise, we're gonna drill through a telephone pole, we're gonna hit a gas line, or so it's an anomaly that everything was just, it's really compact in that one. And that one originally was kind of a narrow easement for normal, say it's about 5 foot shy what typically you find. I don't know why it happened way back when, but that's what it was. So that's what you work with. So yeah, just trying to get through that, figure that one out. So
The camera,
what's that?
the camera.
What about the camera?
What are you using? The cameras now?
Oh, yeah, we've been out on the street quite a bit. We had our first mishap with it. It goes with, so we have fixed a little cable, but we've looked at a lot of things, and found some good issues and got some things fixed that preemptive. So the guys are really coming around on it. So we probably TV'd 30 lines already. And an average cost about $1,000 a line. So to hire out, we got about $30,000 worth of work done with it as of this point. I mean, it's hard to quantify that back forth, but I mean, if we were to hire it out, that's about what it would cost to get them to come in to do that amount of work. So, the guys are really coming around on it, figuring it out. So it's working well.
So Clint, have you identified some problems that you were unaware of with that yet?
Yes and no. We got to see, we knew some problems existed. We just didn't know exactly what the problem was. So now seeing it, we know exactly where that problem is and we can address it. We've had some stuff, if you've done it long enough, when you send a root cutter up a line and you run up, you're doing a blind, you come through, you bring a few roots back, you don't realize you leave about 90% of it in there unless you get that tool right on the root. So with that camera, we're able to camera from one side down with our headsets, bring the cutter up to that root and get it right on there and cut it completely out. And then we know it's out of there. So instead of just poking a pilot hole in it, we're actually doing the work to the main that should happen. So, so yeah, we're identifying, and yeah, we found a couple little things that we didn't know were there that probably saved us in the long run from a night call out someday. So
how's the jet truck?
Mild winter, does the weather affect the camera? I mean.
No, not really. When it gets really cold out, you got to ventilate your system from top to low, and you let that air temperature get the same, and then it's there. If you drop a camera right into a sewer, when you first pop the lid, it's 3 degrees up top and it's 55 degrees down. It fogs up, and now you're sitting there for 30 minutes. So you ventilate it and let the temperature kind of stabilize, and then you can drop it in and go. So yeah, you just, spring has little things you do, summer has things. Well, you just learn them and you figure out how to go about it. So
well, I'm excited for that piece of equipment, and it seems like to me in a community our age that we're remiss not to have one.
Yes.
Yeah, it should, in the long run, should save us a lot of heartache, and should actually save us time and money by getting ahead of problems and not, having late night call outs on things, or, damage happen to things like that. So, and then really be able to address our situation and if we have to put money into something, we're putting it into a line that we know needs it instead of kind of guessing at it, which unfortunately happens a lot. You just kind of guess it. We think we've had problems in this line for a long time, and so we go and do a bunch of work to it. And then if you really have a TV camera and looked at it, you realize that line was completely fine, and you just wasted $100,000 where it could have gone somewhere else. So we can really find out the areas of town that really need to be focused on and worked on. And the other areas, sometimes you'll find sewers that are 100 years old that are in perfect condition, and sometimes you'll find them that need work. So yeah, age really doesn't mean anything in the sewer system. It's what's happened around it and everything else. So I've been in clay tile that's been well over 100 years old. Looks like it was laid yesterday. So, and then I've seen stuff that was laid 20 years ago and looks like it was never put in right at all. So you never know. So it just depends. We have pipes in this town that the city owns from 6 inches all the way up to 38 inches. So our average is an 8-inch sewer pipe throughout the main. So what we have right now. So
where would you find bigger ones?
Just as the trunk gets down closer to the plant, your pipe has to get larger because you're moving more volume of water. So when you get down towards the plant, we're down there, we have a 28-inch that comes in right before pre-treatment. And then we have a couple trunks that were put in years ago that come in south of Ridge Street there. they're at a 36. They were hoping years ago when they built it, there's gonna be a lot of expansion to the north and all that, that they would need that transmission line at that size. We just haven't grown at the rate yet to get there, but, you know, and I don't know if we'll ever get there, but it's kind of nice to know that we do have that. And some of that was put in, because back then you had combined sewers. When they first were put in, you were allowed to put stormwater and sanitary sewer together. After the Clean Water Act of 1972, that went away. You cannot, unless you have a variance from the DNR, you cannot combine the both of them. Because one, that adds money to your taxpayers. For every gallon that comes to that treatment plant, it costs you money to treat it. So if we're gonna add 1 million gallons of water in a snapshot in rain, you added a lot of cost to your treatment plant right there.
So Clint, that being said, I know, you know, you said that we have 100-year-old clay pipe tile that are, you know, like they look like they were put in yesterday. But that being said, I know that those cause a lot of intrusion during rain events. And so in essence, those are costing us a lot of money in the long run, even though they're in good shape.
Yeah, it just depends. If it's on flat ground, you look at it, you can see if there's any I in the system. So if there's no I in that system, that pipe, it might be 100 years old, and it's really not adding anything to your system. But you can see there's traces. It's kind of hard to explain, but there's visual things you can see up there through every seam. They'll show you that there's water infiltration coming in at certain places, and that's what adds to it. And that just comes down to when we connect a lateral from a home into a pipe, did we connect it properly? Did we leave a little gap there? Things like that. Anything you're adding, because that just adds for there. Any small gaps, eventually you can get dirt and everything starting to come in there, and that's what erodes away under your streets and things like that. So the camera can save us in that. I was lucky enough to witness a very bad thing and no one got hurt, but a small water leak in Atlantic on 3rd Street. It welled out underneath 3rd Street. Henningsen Construction came in. You couldn't tell anything was going on. They ran their milling machine across the top. And as they took off 3 inches of asphalt, that was what's holding the street up, and the whole thing fell through the street and went down. And the guy, you know, he's about 12 foot up on that machine, stepped straight off onto the ground. It's because it just slowly been taking a sand wave underneath. And I mean, semis have been driving on it for years. So hopefully with a camera, you can start to see those I issues. And especially if you see a little dip in the street, you can find out, hey, we're slowly eroding dirt away from the street. We can get those things fixed over time. So we don't have a bad situation like that. So.
How does the debris, like leaves and all that, when that goes down to the sewer, does that clog them up?
That should go into your storm sewer. Storm sewers are designed to be self-scouring, so a good rain should scour them. We have a few that aren't right now, and that's part of our system with the jet truck this spring. We're gonna be out cleaning the storm basins and starting to get those lines cleaned up the way they should be. So, but yeah, they should self-scour. So, but that should not go into your sanitary. That's extra VOD added to your load on your plant. So
Clint, I mean, I don't want to overemphasize the point, but I want to get back to these clay pipe tiles.
Yeah.
So at some point, are we not going to be, do we need to line those at some point? I mean, even if they're still viable and working, I mean, aren't these going to need to be addressed at some point in time? And should we be looking at putting away money in the meantime for that, or what?
I think that's a longer discussion. And I mean, that's a case by case scenario from manhole to manhole. We're gonna have to assess those and then see how this over this next year and this summer, getting stuff assessed to see, do we have a major problem in this town that needs to be addressed that way? Or are we actually in pretty good shape? You know, so it's a trade-off. Some of it, the price of lining isn't worth the little bit of maintenance that line might take. We have the jet truck, so it might become more cost effective just to go out and hit that line once a year and make sure it's good. And then other ones we're gonna have to address, and then we can start to figure out and say, yeah, there is money someday down the future we're gonna have to put into this. But I'd hate to say yes, we're gonna have to right now without physically looking at it and seeing the reports on it. If I would guess, yeah, there's gonna be some out there. Every community has some that needs fixed. But to start stockpiling money for it right now, I don't know if that's a wise move or not. We don't have the data to support that one way or the other. So
okay, thanks.
I don't want to guess at anything and just blindly say something. So
yep. Did you get your jet truck back?
Yes, jet truck's back. It's running great. It's actually working better than it was the day that I got here. So they did an excellent job getting it running. So
I think the bid we originally got for the wastewater treatment plant redo,
Mhm.
rebuild, included so many lines that would be lined. But now that
There's
you-
about $3 million worth of lining into that project. They added that in there because the FDA sometimes, once you get to a certain point, actually gives you a better break on the money they'll give you. So it could have been free money. They're still working that out. So it might be that $3 million worth of lining's gonna cost us $3 million. It's not worth doing it. Or adding that $3 million in there, the FDA decides to give you a lot bigger lump sum, and then we don't have to make up so much money as a community. So there's just, it's kind of a government game. You play sometimes like, well, we don't want to see $10 million asked for, but if you ask for 20, we'll give you 15. So, it's one of those. So sometimes asking for a little bit more on the front side can help the taxpayer on the back side. But you'll know that those numbers before you ever say yes or no to anything. So you can drop that stuff off there, lower your tax rate if it has to come up, or your sewer rate, and hopefully everything works out that we really don't have to do too much.
But now we got the camera, so you know better which
We'll know better what
lines
we
those
can
would
do
be.
lining wise
Yeah.
instead of, so even if they did $3 million worth of lining, at this point, we would be guessing where we should throw that money at. This way, hopefully we can have a little better idea of if we have to do some lining, what are the ones in town that need it? So.
One last
So
thing.
I've got one more question. I'll try to shut up. So.
Go ahead.
No, never mind. I heard you talking. No, it's all right. Go ahead.
No, go, Brian.
No, I'm gonna hold it.
You're gonna hold? Okay, so I was gonna ask, just to make sure, I think we've got an agreement with the company to do the inside of the water tower this summer, which is like
Vikings,
complete. That's all in here, correct?
Yeah, that was actually paid, the Viking contract was paid for out of this last budget.
Okay.
Got
it.
So that was, if I remember right, $17,000 for 3 years. But that's complete maintenance on the water tower. They're gonna go in, we have to drop the tower. They're gonna go in and completely spray the inside of it, reseal everything, check it out, and then we'll refill it. So sometime this spring, once we get, we have a VFD we have to put into one of our wells so we can run constant pressure throughout the town. So we don't need a water tower in essence for 2 or 3 days. But we're gonna do a test run on that to make sure we don't have any issues with that, and then we'll drop it again. They'll come in and do the work, let it cure, then we'll fill the tower and go. So it's gonna be a new experience.
That on that note, going back to that water tower, they also found that Viking found bubbles in the paint. And we don't even know if it's a lead paint or not. We're gonna have to.
How many layers? That's on the outside.
Tarp it off on the outside.
What they're doing on the inside for this round, that has nothing to do with it. This
We're
is
talking down the road.
down the road. Yeah, we gotta go back and check. One of the first couple layers potentially could have lead in it. But we'll do a check on that. They can check that real easy to find out.
His little measuring gauge couldn't even measure. That's how.
Yeah, it's very thick right now. So, we're to the point now that we're stressing the tower itself because of the weight of the paint on it. So, so the next time it's gonna be, you're gonna strip it completely down and go back up with it.
And that's gonna cost some money.
I'm not sure when they outlawed lead paint, but I know that tower was built in like 68 or 69 or something like that.
It's crazy.
It should have been tested this last time, probably.
So Clint, I want to back up real quick. So is it cheaper to line a sewer or replace the sewer if you have the road open? Or do you know that?
But it's a lot cheaper to line one. Just for the simple fact you don't have to rip up a street.
Well, no, I'm saying if we have the street open already doing the
If you have the
street.
street open, it's actually cheaper to put PVC back in, Schedule 80
Okay.
back in.
That was my question. So if we do open a street up in the future, we should just go ahead and do that if it's there.
Yeah. Yeah, if we have an open street, we should replace water lines and sewer lines at that point. So we don't have an issue of, you put a brand new street down and then have a water line that's, 80 years old pop the next week, and then you're cutting a brand new street. So, that doesn't bode well with me, and it shouldn't bode well with anyone. I mean, we're gonna spend the money to put a street in, let's make sure things are right before we do it. So,
And does that cause any future issues where you make the joints, the connections where you stop a street project or start a project? Does that have any issue there?
not really. That's in the engineering. We'll figure out how to do it. And, there might be a jog over until you go on to the next section, and then you jog it back and come back. So, but that's all in the engineering. It really doesn't have too much to do with our side of it. So.
I'll shut up.
Excellent. Anybody have anything else? We just appreciate all the things that you're doing for the department, for your team. You've got a great
We're trying.
team. And you've really improved a lot of
Well, thank you.
both systems, and so we do greatly appreciate you.
Anything else?
No, thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you, Clint. All right. Library is next. Kathy. Thank you for being here, Kathy. So there's
Okay.
3 pages here, 66, 67, and 68.
I just wanted to read something, that I've been thinking about that I wanted to tell you. So I'm just gonna start out with, I'd like to thank this council and administration for a realistic budget and for taking the time to listen and work with us. A lot has been said lately about how wonderful things used to be in the past, but I want to share with you that our 22-23 budget only saw an increase of 96 cents. Even though the city at that time implemented a 5% raise across the board, which cost our department an additional $8,095. For years, we have asked to have our wage line item match what was truly being paid to our staff. Before this administrator, we had to deal with one person's wages being forgotten in the budget. This year has been our best year in so many ways, and I am truly grateful, as well as our board is. We would also like to thank you for allowing us to have a liaison, which has tremendously helped us communicate and work with others. And before this mayor, our request for a liaison was denied. I appreciate the opportunity to thank you for all you do and for allowing us to work with you and be part of the city's team.
Thank you.
We could not be more pleased for the treatment that we've received from all of you. It's meant a lot. So, any questions I can help you with fund budget?
So Kathy, I have a question about your memorial fund. What can and can't you do with that money?
The memorial fund itself, about 100,000 of it still is used for books, like it was designated. Some of our gifts are very much designated what they're going to go for. And that is kind of left up to the family. Some are, at board approval or whatever the board, feels needs to be done. But the money that we have invested through the memorials is actually open for, whatever's needed. So at this point, the funding that we do have invested, we've been using it to the tune of anywhere from 35 to 75,000 a year to help with budget and capital expenditures. So we know we'll have things coming down the road for the funding that we do have sitting to go for additional roofing. Our roofing is actually the original roofing to the library. I know we'll be facing parking lots and sidewalks, and so that funding, the board feels that right now the best plan is to let it help fund the library and its needs with the money that it's earning, but also have it available so that as major things come up that will be coming as we work on our capital items.
So are you only allowed to spend the income from that money, or can you spend those monies as they are?
The only money that we have that's absolutely not spendable is $41,000 in bequests. Those were specified anywhere from 50 to 100 years ago that only the revenue be used, but the rest of the funding that we have can and has been being used. I actually sent a letter to Lisa the other day to let her know we have spent almost $3 million now between the building and the project and the improvements, and then an additional of that $2.5 million we went on and with the memorial sinking have spent close to 500,000 more. So we, like I say, when we had a 96-cent raise to our budget from one year to the next, that's when our memorial sinking start paying for the things that we have to have that the budget can't cover. So, but yes,
Thanks,
most of it can be spent. Yes.
Excellent.
So I think there's nothing super different. All the budgets have the 3% raise. And everything else is pretty straightforward, not different from past years. Although again, it might look a little bit different because of the error that was made in someone not being in there. And then we took out Kathy's, that you don't have to budget for someone maybe retiring. So it was kind of accounting for Kathy, and she knows, like, if she has to retire for some reason with family reasons sooner than after this coming fiscal year, then she can do that. But to just have it in there to cut something else didn't seem wise, when at least that's not her intention for this coming year.
I'd just like to say thank you, Kathy, for all you've done for the library in the town. And I grew up in that library, and it means a lot to me, and I know it does to everybody in the city, but it's really something to have the availability, and even the staff that you have, they're so personable, and we really appreciate that very much.
This year was your 40th year with the library.
40th year, yeah,
Wow.
long time.
Yep,
Long time.
pretty
Which is
impressive.
why we keep throwing out the R word. Someday,
We literally threw it out, sorry.
Yeah, we had a staff meeting and we were discussing retirement, like, and whether or not, and whether the budget and how to handle that. And I said, it's fine if I die on the job, except Brad has to find somewhere to bury me. At that point, I said, if I die on the job and I don't get to retire, will you at least bury me for free? And he was like, well, I think it was like holding on the truck, whether you had the truck or not. So, but, and we've had, like I say, this has been the best year. I'm watching the networking that's so needed for this town to get where it needs to be, do the things that everybody wants done. It's for someone who's been here 40 years in this business, where you're at is wonderful, and it's greatly appreciated. So
Thank you.
Well, we all appreciate you and your team.
Let me throw
Thank
something
you.
back at you and your board, because I've attended many, many meetings now, and you have a board that truly cares about that library.
Absolutely.
And the information that you give them, I can say that it's always enough to allow them to make a well-informed decision. So
Yeah.
I definitely commend you and the board both.
Your packets are impressive and very, very, your heart and soul is in it. So thank you. All right. Mark? Yes.
I, for the second meeting in a row, forgot the additional claims to pass out. So
Um,
I'm passing it on.
Okay,
Please. We need to vote. I'm giving
We
them,
need to vote
telling
again?
Karen to give them
We're having a
to Ashley.
routine here. What are we doing?
You talking about
So,
that little
yeah.
extra page of claims there? I thought that was included in what we approved.
Well, I didn't pass them out, so
I see.
I got here right at the last minute and then didn't pass them out. And Karen reminded me, so I need to give them to Ashley. But Adam is not available to come. So if we have any additional questions for park and pool, you can ask me, but he is not available tonight. The park board did go over their budget. And again, no major differences besides 3%. The park and tree board also approved the pool fees. So there's a small increase. We're going back to having a family pass. I think they had gone against the family pass at the pool. So it's an individual pass, a family pass that'll count for up to 5 people. And there's an additional charge for any families larger than 5. And then there's also a caregiver add-on to your family. So if you have a babysitter for the summer for an extra $25, your babysitter only when coming with your kids can be on your family pass.
so our pool budget is $153,900 for just the pool, right?
Correct.
And then our entire park budget's $193,700. So the pool is almost the same as our entire year's park budget. Just
Pools are not cheap.
pools are not, they're not money makers. All right. All right,
So
so
we need the additional. claims
basically
to
we've
do
got
that.
the rest of that done then. Park and pool. Anybody have anything else with park and pool?
Well, Adam's not here. I mean, can't really have much for him.
Well,
You can ask me if you have.
you can ask Lisa, cause she'll know.
He's saying.
Last year, we had almost 40 lifeguards.
Yes, we need a motion.
We've started,
Sorry, what?
we had almost 40 lifeguards last year. we started promoting that. I saw that we started promoting. When do we plan to open?
The goal for the pool is to open the last day of school,
Last
Might
day
be
of
chilly,
school.
but you
Wow.
can jump in. May
Okay.
22nd maybe is the last day of school.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Adam, you would know.
Yeah, we're in the ballpark.
Unless we have a big snowstorm,
Yeah.
a snow day. Do we have any more snow days before we?
Countdown, I'm sorry.
How are we standing on lifers, do you think?
I feel like Georgiana thought that she was confident that many of them were coming back.
Mhm.
I kind of explained if she's comfortable bringing people back, it isn't really like, you need to fill out the paperwork for Susie doing payroll, but you're not vying for jobs.
Yeah.
If you were here before and she wants to bring you back, you're welcome to come back. And then we fill the spots that we still need. It's obviously always challenging in all the pools that I've managed along with a pool manager is, do you pick too many kids or not enough kids when it's teenagers? Sometimes they have overzealous plans when they first think how many hours they want to work, and then they start asking off for every
Mhm.
fabulous thing they want to do in their social life while they live their best high school lives. And so, you can get so many that you then aren't giving people hours and then hire too few and not have enough, and then you're begging people to work. So
If we can work out. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say, what's the maintenance status of our pool? The last I knew, we had a bubble in the one side and we had this problem and that problem. What's our status right now? Are we ready to run in summer or do we know?
it's not ready, but it's supposed to be getting fixed here soon when the weather permits.
And so what, do we have any kind of plan to redo the bathhouses there? I know that was something we put on hold because we had budget requirements and this and that. Are we even talking about that anymore or not?
I don't think that's in the budget if they're spending money.
That's part of the capital
We could maybe
improvement
have a painting
plan,
party because we like to do that now.
it's kind of getting kicked down the,
Well, we
Street
didn't do the bathrooms and the bathhouses there because we wanted to put an extra slide in or something, I'm sure.
pretty
something
sure it's
like
on the
that.
capital plan, improvement plan. But I don't remember, I think it's on the capital improvement plan, but I don't remember what year we put it for. It was just kind of listed there for whenever it can work in.
How about the square fountain? You had that little leak,
Oh, Fountain Square.
fountain square.
Chris, do you know anything about that?
Believe you got the pump parts and everything to do it this spring. It just
Okay.
got too late in the year last year to restart it.
Okay.
So it's,
And the street planters in this downtown square are gonna get watered.
We will discuss that, but yes.
All right, good deal. So let's move on back up to,
Do you need a motion? to
Number
approve the
9.
additional claims?
number 9 needs to be reapproved with these additional claims,
He's
which,
approving the claim, the additional
Yeah.
claim, it's not the.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to approve the additional claims.
okay. Bradley,
Second.
all right, so Bradley and Friedhoff, and I'm sorry, Brian, you can't see them. They're mostly copies.
I'm gonna abstain, don't worry about me.
Okay,
Electricity.
it's electricity with Mid-American mostly.
Electricity and
Look at all of those. First time I had to realize how many bills we get for just Mid-American. It's
We're
ridiculous.
trying to work, Karen's gonna try to work on combining like departments into
Yes,
one bill
we
for,
talked about that last time.
Yeah.
it's challenging.
okay, so I got a first and a second, Bradley and Friedhoff. Right, was right, Friedhoff, roll call.
Bradley,
Yes.
Bills,
Abstain.
Brightoff,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Hebrink.
Yes.
All right, good deal. So number 17, upcoming city council meetings. We have a special city council meeting on March 31st. This is relating to our budget. This is our budget hearing, actually.
Property tax.
Oh, this is our property tax hearing. Thank you. I'm glad you clarified that. So everybody got their letters.
Did they? I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and they're very confusing.
Yeah.
They're very confusing for everybody.
State of Iowa.
Again. And then we have a regular meeting on both the 7th and the 21st. And then our final budget meeting is,
April 21st.
that's what I thought. So that will be to approve the budget. All right,
After and remember, the only thing on the 31st is to have that half an hour meeting. And then we'll wait the half hour and then At 6 o'clock, we'll just do a quick set the public hearing so that I can get it in the paper before the 7.
Got it.
So you'll be there from 5:30 to 6:05.
Yeah. Okay, got it. All right, reports. Department heads, Kevin McGrew with the airport. Thank you for your minute or your notes too.
Good evening, all. I'm Kevin McGrew, the airport manager.
Nice shirt.
First, I'd like to say I should have got a shirt in red. That looks
It is pretty sharp.
but I'm in gray.
Yeah, it's sharp.
I was here in January with a report, so I only got a couple months, but you can see on my report there, like every month, we hold regular meetings. Generally the second Friday of every month, but this month, because of our bid letting, we moved it back a Friday week, so we actually have our meeting coming this coming Friday. Snow removal went well, no problems with equipment breakdown. I have a nice tractor and blade and a snow blower, so everything worked well there. We started planning for the annual Ambassador Airport flight breakfast that'll be during Junction Days, so we've got a meeting lined up for that. It'll probably be very similar to in the past. April 16th, I'm scheduled with Nick Hildreth, the airport chairman, to attend the Iowa Public Airport Association meeting this year. They move it around the state, but this year it's in Okoboji. So we'll be going up there for that. April 24th, scheduled for one session of the Red Oak Leadership Program. Will come out to the airport and I kind of explain how our airport works. We started, I think it's every 2 years, the Iowa Department of Transportation, we have to register and inspect our airport. Just today, I got notice that they're coming the 29th of this month to look at our runways. And then they also have, this is an outside firm that will be spending, he said, 6 hours looking at our runways and concrete aprons and buildings. And then the Iowa DOT inspector will come and look for trees and stuff like that. So we're working forward on that. I expect no problems. All airports are expected to maintain an inventory list of all airplanes. So I think if some airplane is spotted somewhere, they know where its home base is. And so that's all up to date. Other than that, just getting ready for spring. I have a good zero turn mower and a nice batwing mower that I use for the runway, so grass runway, so that'll work good. Worked on our budget that you heard me talk about a couple weeks ago, I think. And then as far as an update on the new hangar we're working on, I think tomorrow they're going to be opening the bids and evaluating them and making sure that they were done right. I guess everything, you hate to take a low bid if they didn't have everything figured in. So Friday we have our monthly meeting, and the engineering firm will go over the details with the airport commission, and hopefully everything's in line, and then they can approve it to award it to the bidder. I know I was talking to Pete Crawford today, and so far I think they haven't opened any yet, but they've got 4 bidders that have got the packet. So we're expecting 4 bids, four bids that hopefully we get 4 bids and they'll know tomorrow. And then even if the bids are okay and we award it, we still have to wait for the FAA's approval. No work can be done until the federal government, Congress gives the money to the FAA to give to the individual airport. So nothing will be spent until that is. And hopefully they kind of set it up 2 windows, depending on when we get our funding and also up to the contractor. Work could start as early as September of this fall, or it could wait until April of next year. And then, any questions?
Kevin, is there any risk of, and with these funding cuts that's going on with the federal government, is there any risk of us losing any monies?
Not that I'm aware of yet.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Have fun on the 16th. All right. Department heads reports, we have no others, so city administrator report. Lisa.
I will be gone next week, Wednesday, half a day, and then Thursday, Friday for a conference, the city managers for the state of Iowa. I think I'm in Iowa City. The 2 union contracts that you approved last Monday are both signed and delivered to the state portal. So hopefully we're all good there. Seems like it. We are preparing to send out letters, which will be a new thing that because of the ability to put delinquent bills on the tax roll that they haven't done a lot of. We'll be sending the notices. It'll say if they don't have their delinquent bill paid in the next 30 days, that it'll go on their tax roll. And then the deadline to send it to the treasurer of Montgomery County is the end of May. So those will go out here by the end of March. The railroad has a contractor that is so they've subbed out work to work on the overpass for the railroad at Bluegrass Road. So I'll be sending a notice out tomorrow to everybody on Bluegrass Road on the non-town side that they'll have to go all the way out to J on the gravel to take it back out to whatever we call, is it Old 34 that we say for Summit? So they'll have to go that way for somewhere between 1 and 2 weeks, and it'll start on Monday. So I have a Facebook post ready to go. I sent it to the railroad guys to make sure they were good and had Chris and the chief approve it, and we'll talk about it on the radio tomorrow morning. Kevin already updated you. The airport bids are due this week. Fun new thing for me, my first time in 30 years is ordering the deceased vulture to be hung in the tree by the water tower, and I had to sign the permit for the DNR. Fun fact, never did that before. I'll never say never. We already told you that Civic we'll be trying to go live that first week in April, so we're gonna try to also get that here publicized in the next few days. We have some meetings set up with them on Friday. A couple of us are going to the ag dinner tomorrow night, so don't forget that if you sign up. I think Mayor, Tim, and Sharon for ambassador stuff. And I think that's all I have.
Okay.
So Lisa, I have a question for you on do you have a good contact with the railroad that you can just call or email? Because there was conversations being had on the 8th Street overpass before you came on board, but the conversations ended at some point because that 8th Street overpass is kind of falling in on itself.
I can ask, I don't know. If Chris deals directly with the railroad, I'm dealing with the contractor. But yeah, we can reach out and ask. And I know once asphalt weather resurrects its springtime ahead, we should be able to get them to deal with the asphalt people to fix Bluegrass Road where the derailment was. We have that person, so we can ask. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know there were conversations being had about that underpass, but like I said, I think they kind of got dropped.
Chris said there's been some conversation about that. You probably can't hear him, but he's in the back.
I cannot hear him.
He says that there's been conversations about that.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
But we'll double check.
All right.
Thank you.
Anything else for Lisa? All right, mayor's report. Last time we were here, we were getting ready to leave for our local leaders day, which the weather was not the most beautiful on the way back, but it was a good day overall. I am pretty actively involved in the legislative and policy committee for the League of Cities. The first funnel wrapped up here not long ago, and there are 14,000 bills introduced this year at the state legislature. Of those, there were 280 municipal bills proposed. Only 150 of them have moved forward. So that's significant cut. The property tax bill was dropped. And it is now, what's really interesting is they're actually working with the League of Cities. And the League of Cities has also hired a firm to work with us on some different modeling of how the implication of what they're proposing for the property tax bill, how that will affect small rural communities. So I feel like this is the first time, I think the league feels like this is the first time that the legislature is very open to working with municipal leaders that are actually trying to look at what is the best for us small communities, because what our needs are and what the purpose of some of the past legislation was for really has harmed us significantly. And so now they're trying to correct it. They're trying to correct a bunch of corrections. And I think it's positive. I think that they will be moving forward on something, but it is nice to know that the league has indeed hired a consultant firm to work with them, and we'll be presenting some models to them. So it's pretty significant. It's the biggest overhaul on property taxes since 1970 in the state of Iowa. The thing that what a lot of people don't realize is when they talk about property taxes and reduction of property taxes, that it hits at the local level the hardest. And so I think it's just really nice that they're actually realizing and listening to us at the legislature. So,
So Mayor, I understood that all that property tax was House File 718 and all that was already law, and all the
this
cuts
isn't
to.
new. This is not that. This is in response to that.
Okay, so I'm unaware of
Brand new.
any action. Yep.
This is an overall property tax bill.
Every year they just talk about more changes.
Yeah. So. Okay, another one that was interesting, has to do, and I don't have the number in front of me, it's here, is, regarding emergency services, emergency management services. And what they proposed is to actually put that back on the cities so that the city would have to budget for our portion of EMS services. We currently do not do that.
EMS or EMA?
I'm sorry. EMA services, yes. EMA services, Brian Hammond. So we would have to be taking on some of that. And I know that the majority of us on the call the other day were opposed to it because most of our cities have not had to budget for that before. As Lisa said the other day, Emergency Management Association, those or EMS services completely are not even
mandatory.
Yeah, they're not mandatory. So, they did talk about the possibility of us doing a localized levy for it, but I need to get a little bit more information on that. I thought it was just countywide that you could do it. We had Cass County or Atlantic and Page County both tried to approve it last year, and only one of them approved, I think. So, trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's pretty much the biggies right now. Those were the two that we talked about the most. But I've got a list of all of them if anybody's interested in looking at them. They're looking at putting a 2% increase on solid waste recap. It's Senate Study Bill 1190. And also doing some stuff with rural development and also housing trust funds. So there's some economic development ones that are pretty significant as well. So anyway, that's all I pretty much have. I do want to remind everybody that tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at the White Fair Building is the Ag Appreciation Banquet. And I think that's all I have for right now. I have an EMA meeting or Iowa Mayor's Association meeting coming up. And we did have the legislative brief. I think you may have went.
I did appear, and so did Kathy.
Okay.
We have the city.
Good. Other than that, that's pretty much where I have an RPA, a 13 meeting coming up next week as well for SWIPCO. So, and I'm going to remain the chair of the policy committee, I guess. So, alrighty, that's all I have. City council members. Let's start with Adam.
I haven't been anything, but I've had some people ask about the fencing around the leaf pile. When can that get put up?
So we're waiting for the contractor to be able to come from the tornado. And the goal is to change the path of it so that as you go past the shop, like I think it is not appropriate that we have our facility that everybody can just drive through it. So there would be, as you drive in, the gate would be locked when we're not there, when the employees are not there, when you first drive in where you can turn in. And then when you get past the street shop, there would be an immediate jog in the fence and then it would go across. And then all the yard waste stuff would be outside of the fence and you wouldn't be able to drive through that middle part. So because we had to wait for the insurance stuff, the FEMA stuff that we're working on right now, and then obviously just approaching winter. We do have the fence contractor we're supposed to be slated for. So I know
that's pretty much gonna get all tore up anyway.
Yeah.
So not waste time with it because we know that's gonna be tore out and.
right, there was some, I know I got approached about, should we just be putting it up, back up, just so it looks nicer as opposed
Right.
to letting it sit on the ground and wait, so we can, they're not reusing it anyway, are they? So we can just probably get it, right now is the contractor to pull it out as well. So hopefully they can come soon. In the next
I think some
month
of
or
the
so.
debris around there from the tornado is also like an
We'll actually be
eyesore
on
for
site
people.
next week doing the levy stuff, so then he would be ready to go as soon as we figure it out, so.
Okay.
He's on standby pretty much.
Good deal. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. John?
Become aware of a couple of problems, but I'm just gonna wait until I look into them deeper to find out whether there's actually anything to it, or if it's just somebody running their mouth.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. All right, Tim?
Back to the local leaders day there as well, the legislative briefing, and then I had an MCDC executive board meeting.
Okay. Sharon?
Local leaders, in Des Moines, of course, that was a good experience, and I, enjoyed seeing all the protesters at the Capitol.
Some louder than others.
Yeah, really. But, just to see the Capitol and take the tour, I really enjoyed that, because I hadn't done that for years and years. Also, I'm working with ambassadors on the Ag dinner tomorrow night. And I've been working at the country club, we're completely remodeling that. A lot of golfers were out there today, but we're trying to lease the restaurant. We don't have anybody, a chef at the restaurant right now, but it'll be nice. We'll be done in another month or so. It'll be all brand new and so we're looking for someone.
Okay.
But it's really a big amenity for our community, so anybody that can go out and enjoy the club, even though we won't have the kitchen open yet, but.
Okay. Hey, Brian?
So I attended the last two county supervisors meetings via Zoom. And I got to say, Sharon, I'm sorry I'm not going to be there with you tomorrow night to pass out the drink tickets like normal. I really enjoyed giving out the drink tickets. So, yeah, oh well. I'm happy to be with my daughters, though.
Yep, you've got a grandbaby coming pretty soon, don't you?
Yeah, that'll be next trip.
Okay, got it. All right. Yes, that is the last regular piece of business before we adjourn into a closed session. So people can either leave, or if you want to come back in after our closed session for the very last two items, which are 22 or 21, 22, and then the adjournment. You can certainly wait outside. We don't have great location for people to wait here, but it is nice outside. So, yeah.
I think Aaron, you're not,
Perfect day.
we'll just talk about it in the morning, so.
All right.
So, Mayor, do you want me to call your cell phone then and get off of Zoom?
Yes.
And then I'll stay on your cell phone for the rest of the meeting then?
Yes, that would be fine. I don't think we have to go back on Zoom when we come back, do we?
Did she teach you how? Did she teach you how to, hold on.
To pause it?
Don't do it yet, but there is a way that we think we're gonna be able to pause it and then
Suspend it.
Okay,
put it back into open session.
okay,
All right.
got
So
it.
I'm gonna have, some of the staff people are on there, so I'm just gonna make sure that they can't see what's going on.
Okay,
So I should try to
Right.
Zoom back in then after I hang up here?
I would say not you.
no, you'll
just
be able
on
to
the
stay on
phone.
the phone, but yeah.
Okay, very good. I'm gonna hang up.
All right,
So anyway, if
Wait.
people wait.
Yep.
Wait.
Wait
Don't
just
hang
a
up,
second,
you have
wait
to
just a
vote.
second, because you have to vote to go into closed session,
Oh,
so wait.
okay. Yep.
So number 19 is adjourn into closed session pursuant to Iowa Code 21-5, 1I, to evaluate the professional competency of an individual whose appointment, hiring, performance, or discharge is being considered when necessary to prevent needless and irreparable injury to that individual's reputation, and the individual requests a closed session. This is regarding Lisa Cotter, our city administrator's 6-month review, which she did, she was reviewed by all of our city hall staff, our supervisors or department heads, and the mayor and council. And then she also did a self-evaluation. So I would need a motion and a second to go into closed session as soon as people,
We make the motion while they're here and then we just wait 2 minutes.
Okay.
Got a motion.
So moved.
okay, John
Second.
and Tim, or Heidzik and Friedel. Roll call.
Bills,
Yes.
Brightoff,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
and Bradley.
Yes.
All right, thank you, everybody, for coming.
This afternoon. I'm gonna leave it out there. You want you to
We need.
We need to see the truck.
Well, I did.
I see it.
Yep, 7:15.
Yeah.
What's that?
So
I know. I'm hoping it still is when we're done.
Part of it, there's still some of it we have to do. Yeah.
All right.
Not ready.
Hello, sir. We're not quite ready, but session
Hold on.
or open session. Wait.
Can he,
We have to call the.
He just stays
He's gonna stay in the.
No, I just
That's the point.
state that we're back in open session at 8:19. Is the Zoom working?
are we back? Yes. Okay, so
Okay.
I would have Brian hang up and then communicate through the regular means.
Okay, I guess Lisa
Is he
said
still
that you
on?
I think he's
should.
still on. He says he can't unmute.
Hey,
Well, we can unmute him.
We have to.
can you go back to your Zoom and she's unmuting you now? She can
Yes,
come
so
back.
Okay, yep. I think I'm back on Zoom now.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and hang up.
Have him talk.
Can you talk through the?
No, hang up the phone.
Yeah, hang up the
I'm
phone.
gonna have to hang up. All right, I'm hanging up. Okay, Brian, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right,
Can you hear me?
all right.
Yeah, we can hear you on Zoom, so that's good.
We are back in open session. Oh, yeah, we need to stop that too. Okay, so, 21 is resolution 2025-29. This is the city administrator's 6-month review and wage adjustment. This resolution basically is, I got it right here. There we go. And we left a blank, before we made, I guess I would open.
I would make a motion to approve the resolution, with a 3% increase for a total amount of $133,900,
I'll second that.
effective March 23rd, according to the.
Okay, that is a 3% raise. All right, so then I take, you were first, did Sharon second it?
Sharon seconded it.
Okay, so any further discussion?
You know, I want to say that for the first time since I have been involved, we have a professional, educated city administrator doing the job that needs to be done. I seriously appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I would just like to say, and for the council and for our audience, that all of your reviews were great, and it's been amazing to work with the city council or city administrator like you. So I appreciate all the input of all the employees for the city and the city council that had very positive accolades for you.
7 pages of comments that were all very positive. So very good. Anybody else? I would like to just state on behalf of being in the mayor and being in the office, I see how Lisa works with our staff and I see how respected she is. I mean, even Kathy's comment earlier, I feel like she's very well respected by all of our staff, both in City Hall and our supervisors. And I think they know what they need and know what she is doing to help support them in their jobs. And she is an intermediary between them and us. And I think she's doing very, very well. I couldn't have asked for a better person in that seat. So I'm extremely pleased with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, when it comes to communication, there's no gray area. Everything's pretty crystal clear.
You always let people know if you go out for a meeting, when you're gonna be back. Your communication is incredible with us. You treat each of us like individuals. You don't just blanket stuff. You genuinely care. So it's fantastic. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so I got a motion and a second. Roll call.
Bills,
Yes.
Right Off,
Yes.
Isaac,
Yes.
Hebrink,
Yes.
Bradley,
Yes.
Okay, and then other items for discussion for the next agenda. So our next meeting will be the 31st, a week from,
2 weeks. You get a Monday.
yeah, 2 weeks. We get a Monday out.
There's
And that will be a very short meeting. We'll open it at 5:30 and then we basically leave it open for 30 minutes for any public comments. And then at 6, we'll,
Have a quick 1-item agenda as well. They have to be 30 minutes apart and I just need to approve the public hearing.
Yep.
Notice.
Do we have to leave the meeting open for 30 minutes though?
I don't think so.
I was gonna say, I don't think we've had
You
in
have to
previous
adjourn
years.
and
If
then
you
we'll just
have
hang out
none, then
until
you can
6.
just, yes,
Yeah.
okay.
We won't
There are
talk about city
some-
business. We'll just hang out.
30 minutes. Okay.
So I have a question here before we adjourn, if I may.
Mhm.
So going forward, so right now we have this great positive attitude about our city administrator and blah, blah, blah. So what happens if we go down the line and we get a new council and all of a sudden everybody's not, as enthused and happy? Are we gonna just, let it so like they can just be fired, or are we gonna make it so there's some kind of protection for our city administrator if they're doing a great job? Or, I mean, I don't know, because I keep up with Facebook and I watch, public comments. I don't respond, but it's pretty easy to fall from favor in the 21st century. So how do we work that going forward?
We can change the vote 4-1.
We can go for a super,
approval on that.
yeah, go for super majority
If
to
we
it.
want to do that.
So what's that mean, Sharon?
That's ordinance change.
Yeah, the ordinance has to change.
We have to do that by resolution?
Ordinance.
So we have to do public hearings and all that?
No, it's on the agenda.
Yeah, just on the agenda, like we
I
are
see.
with.
Just a question, because, I know the environment changes, quite rapidly sometimes. And sometimes if you're doing your job, you step on toes.
I think it's something that we need to look at and maybe add to the agenda. I think we should do it, after we do the tax.
Get through the budget.
Yeah, the budget.
Okay, all right, very good.
I think it is very hard to hold my tongue when I watch Facebook posts, because people don't understand how complex city government is. They don't understand what all's behind anything that we're doing. And it's extremely frustrating when people throw out ideas that don't even have anything to do with what we're doing. And they don't understand that money from one pot can't be spent in other pots. They think and make assumptions, and it's just extremely frustrating. So I would love to be able to do more of a citizens academy and start educating some people, because I think then they would see what an amazing city administrator we have and how efficient the city is running right now. So we're doing way better than we were. All right, any other items for the agenda? No? All right, I will adjourn this meeting with all items completed at 8:27.
You're gonna hit the cap.
What's it? Oh,